Under Yaniel lies a dungeon, aptly named the Yaniel Agility Dungeon, because it has agility obstacles. In this dungeon there is a chest called the Sinister chest, and thanks to you, today we're going to see if opening this chest is a good money maker. This chest has been in the game since 2002, so we're literally going to see if one of the oldest money makers in the game is going to hold up, or if it isn't, because that's kinda what we do here. This chest has a very consistent loot table. It will always give you 2 Aura Lenders, 3 Renars, 1 Irrit, 1 Avento, 1 Quarm and 1 Torstol. No more, no less. For you to open the Sinister chest, you obviously need the Sinister key, which you can get from a couple of sources around the game. On top of that, you should conveniently have a slash weapon or knife to access the dungeon itself by cutting through the webs, and lastly you also need at least 49 agility to access the chest. And it's also useful to have anti-poison, because opening the chest will actually poison you. Hey, that serpentine helm conveniently leads me to what we're actually going to be doing. Sure, we're trying an old money maker, but we can do so with modern technology, and that serpentine helm is one of them. The serp helm is going to make it so we don't actually get poisoned when opening the chest. We are also working with a wilderness sword, which will make all spiderweb slashes successful, and well, they never fail basically. And we also have the crafting cape, which is the closest teleport that we have to a bank. Gear aside, we will also be rocking house teleports, and the change to the portal nexus, to Yaniel or Watchtower, either is fine, and honestly, in my experience, it really did not make much of a difference. But how did we actually tackle this? Okay, so my original plan was to bring a lockpick, teleport to Yaniel, access the bank there, and then go down the stairs through the house so I can access the dungeon that way. And then I very quickly realized that it would get really annoying, because lockpicking that door can actually fail a bunch of times. So now our plan is to get ourselves the 27 keys plus the house teleports, teleport to Yaniel, go under the wall, slash the webs to the decayed house on the north, go through the ledge obstacle, then through the pipe and use all of our keys, and then use the crafting cape to teleport to the bank. Now all we need to do is do exactly this for an hour and we're pretty much sorted. And lucky for you, that's exactly what I did, and as the hour went by, I contemplated how lucky I was that my combat level was high enough that the skeletons weren't aggressive towards me. It did not stop me from eating them, however. Twice. Outside of those little hiccups, everything went pretty smoothly, although I will say, the chest is a bit boring to open. It only takes a few seconds to respawn, sure, but it falls in that zone where it's not AFK, but it's also not super active, because you can't spam click it since you need to wait for it to close in order to open it again. So yes, not exactly a super hard method to pull off, but it does beg one question: how did we actually do in this hour? Well, in 1 hour I was able to use 447 Sinister keys. That means that we ended up with 447 Irrits, 447 Aventos, 447 Quarms, 447 Torstols, 894 Aralenders, and most importantly 1341 Renars. These all price checks at 16,118,527 GP. Which sounds amazing, but let's take a look at the costs. As I mentioned, I use 447 Sinister keys, which carried a cost of 15,037,527 GP. On top of that, the GE tax siphoned a further 320,052 GP from the total profit, which, speaking of, comes out to be 760,791 GP in 1 hour. Just for transparency, I also got 553 agility XP, which is pretty much nothing at all, but Well, I did gain it, so I think I should mention it. Honestly, I was surprised at how decent this moneymaker was. The best part about it is that the profit is pretty much consistent because you always get the same herbs per key. It does, however, give no XP at all, or I mean, okay, very little XP. It has a huge upfront cost, and you also need level 49 agility to access, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's still a pretty decent requirement comparatively speaking to everything we've done so far. And there's also another issue with it. You see, these keys aren't exactly very easy to come by, meaning the daily volume of them is actually fairly limited. So it's not like you could do this all day every day. The daily volume of these keys is actually lower than the amount of keys you can buy every 4 hours at the GE. Yes, the volume is lower than the fucking limit of the keys on the GE, so it's a pretty huge thing that you have as a roadblock for this moneymaker. With all of that being said, we gotta answer the question, does it still hold up? Well, I wouldn't say so, at least not as much. The price of the herbs has pretty much crashed massively due to how many bosses just shit them out. You get no XP, okay, you get little XP, and the keys even aren't that common to begin with. So when you have all of these factors, I don't think the amount of GP I made was actually like super worth it. However, I was actually very surprised to see that it's still a very decent moneymaker that honestly can get you out of a pinch if, you know, you really need like an extra meal for a piece of gear or supplies. So, you know, while it hasn't exactly held up for a variety of reasons, I also would say that it's not necessarily a failure. It's just sort of there. Yeah, it's decent, it's not the best, it's not the worst, it's definitely been made weaker over time, but it can still be useful, I would say. And that's pretty much it for the Sinister chests. If you want an old moneymaker that you want me to test by, I guess, modern standards, just leave a comment about it. I'll definitely read it and put it on my list. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so, because as an avid Runescape player, I like to watch number go up. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.